knows that food is food. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to With Bowl and Spoon. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Brett.
And we are here to talk about our refrigerator traumas.
Bum, bum, bum.
We just had to buy a new refrigerator after, what did we decide, 20 years?
I think we settled on 15 or 16. I'm not 100%.
I was definitely here before 2009. Whatever, we're not going to debate that math anymore, but it was a long time. We had it probably longer than its life expectancy.
Well, apparently, and that is a chagrin that irks me as well. But yes. So it finally stopped just being annoying and became a threat to survival through loss of sustenance. So yeah, we kind of had to stop ignoring it.
For years, our refrigerator has been freezing stuff. And we...
Inconsistently.
Yeah, and there were certain parts that would freeze quicker than others. And so we knew how to put things in different spots to manage. We're so in denial. La, 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 la. We don't need a new fridge. We'll just adapt. But this time, and I had done some cleaning of the top of the fridge and thought I had left it open, but the freezer thawed out a little bit. Our ice cubes were water. And I was like, oh, that is concerning. And started having a little panic. And then, we sealed it up, we closed it, we waited, I don't know, 24 hours.
I think we decided the most logical thing was that the seal wasn't working properly.
Yeah, we must have left it open.
I washed the door frame and I washed the seal and we closed it, and that seemed to prove it because...
And it came back. It was frozen. Everything was frozen again.
Later.
We were happy. I don't know, a few days later.
Week, 2 weeks.
Was it a week or two? Anyway, it was a while later, and Brett comes up, he's bringing me coffee like he does every day because he's the best. And he says, look, we really have to watch that seal on the freezer because everything was thawed out again, and we just have to. It was kind of like
there was water across the kitchen floor.
I understand, but it was kind of like a scolding thing, like, "Hey, we have to be better about taking care of this fridge." And I was like, "Babe, it's not us, it's the fridge. We need to face that. It's not us. The refrigerator.
You can't make me face reality."
So
darn you to heck.
Then we realized that some of the meat had started to thaw out, and I was like, "All right, we gotta move it." And so we had to shift into gear. Break out the coolers. Our neighbors, Jeff and Kate, thank you so much. They have an extra freezer in their garage that they use for popsicles and beer and stuff. And so we were able to take all of our frozen stuff over there and refreeze it without any damage to our goods, which was good.
A good portion at least, which was kind of harrowing too, to realize just how much was contained in that unit.
Yeah, it was a big fridge too. I mean, let's go back to when we bought that fridge, because when we bought this house in 1999, we had one of those old. I thought it was avocado, but you said it was brown. So regardless,
I'm pretty sure it was sort of a rust brown, like a chocolate rust brown. And like I said, I suspect it was almost two-tone, like it was lighter to the front and darkened to the edges. Could that have just been dirt? It might have been.
So when we moved in our house, the second floor, the back room, was a kitchen. It's pretty small, but that was the functioning kitchen in the house. And the first floor didn't have any appliances, or did it even have countertops? I can't remember.
Well, there was a sink and a counter. No, there were no countertops.
So it was pretty empty. And then when we had some roof problems, and then the water came in from the roof into the second floor bathroom, which that's a whole other story about the second floor bathroom. This is 100-year-old house in Pittsburgh. Everybody's got these stories. But yeah, then the leaks in that bathroom were so much that we ended up just funneling it into a trash bag and then funneling that through a hole in the floor into this first floor kitchen, which is where we're sitting now, which is all done.
I mean, I'd forgotten about that. But
into a trash can.
Literally built like a flat tarp that emptied into in the center of the room upstairs into that barrel. But then that rain, those storms were so severe that then I had to go back and make an overflow system because it was...
And then it came down to the kitchen.
Just coming anyway, so yeah.
And it came down to the first floor kitchen, and then we had a trash can down here, and then we had an overflow into the sink. So it was a big, hot mess. So anyway, this kitchen was not a functioning kitchen at that time. So But we did get the roof fixed. So when our refrigerator died, we were like, okay, cool. Now we can buy our refrigerator. Woohoo! We went down to the Sears Scratch and Dent in Lawrenceville.
Yes.
We bought it. We had it delivered, and they came in, and we're like, okay, second floor. And they're like, okay. And then
No.
it wouldn't fit. It was too big to go up the stairs. Which reminded me of a time that, we lived in a third floor apartment over in Friendship for the first 5 years that we were together. And Brett's a sculptor. Brett makes art.
Oh.
And one time, Brett made art that wouldn't get out of the house. It wouldn't fit out the door.
I was very careful, and I measured very carefully, and then, the reality was that in order to make turns, my measurements were true. They were accurate.
Is that geometry?
It should have fit through the door, but yes, the true geometry of the thing meant that, and I end up having to take both the door and the door frame off. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so back to this fridge scenario. So it wouldn't fit upstairs. And so fortunately, our kitchen was not being rained in anymore on the first floor, this room that we now call a kitchen. So we put the fridge down here, plugged it in, and it worked, and it was great. But we'd have to shop downstairs.
Yep.
And then take food upstairs to cook. Yep. And then, I mean, like you're talking about like when you design a kitchen, that 3 points, the triangle that you put your sink and your fridge and your stove. Okay. Yeah, that triangle was way huge.
Hey, that triangle was 3-dimensional, not 2-dimensional.
You're right.
So there's that. We were ahead of the curve there.
But nobody wants to take that triangle path. But anyway, yeah. So when we finally got this kitchen done here in 2009, 2008, 2009, something like that.
Your memory of this is better than mine.
It fit in, and so we just lived with it, and we did not think we would ever.
The absurd thing was it had water hookup, which again, I'm like, are we even going to use it? And of course, that never really worked. The ice worked intermittently and not well, so we just gave up on that and never knew. So that was real estate that was lost for no good purpose. So we didn't know. We shopped as best we could at the time and thought, oh, more room.
We had a big house. We have a big house. Yeah. And lots of open space at the time.
I know, but we could have sublet rooms in that old fridge.
We could have, yeah.
But
it was a big fridge. But it was probably only about like 5 cubic feet smaller than this one. Yeah, or bigger than this one. This one's just a little bit smaller, but it looks so, it's so cute.
It's shallower and you can see things. So yeah, I mean, this is the thing. The trauma of, oh crap, the fridge is dead, long live the fridge, meant that we actually had to sit down and think about what do we actively need, what are the issues with the old one, and obviously it was the 2 verticals meant that you had a thing that was just too deep to ever manage, and things were always lost to the back of the fridge that you presume were gone, and then of course we found 2-year-old things that we had made that we thought were either gone or lost or whatever as we were clearing out the fridge. I mean, that's the other absurdity, the amount of stuff we threw away when we cleared out the fridge and still had much to store.
I just remember, so I came downstairs after checking my email and do what I needed to do. I came downstairs. I was like, okay, let's get on this. And there had been some blueberries that started to leak, and they dripped down, and so everything in the freezer had to be cleaned. But fortunately, we had done a really good job of organizing it to a food safety level because I am educated in that. And so we had all the meat at the bottom, the chicken, the pork were up the bottom, and then lamb and beef on top of that, and vegetables, and then there's more dried stuff. So
and all completely vacuum sealed and fine. So.
Yeah, but it was the blueberries had gotten goo all over stuff, so everything had to be taken out and washed, and then stacked, and then dried, and then refrozen. So I was organizing this, and Brett, I forget what you were doing, but you had a task that you were doing out of the house, so you left for a bit, so I was able to do that. And I mean, change is really hard, and particularly you take change pretty hard. And this is like this is a big deal. And I just remember the one thing, like I found some breadcrumbs and I was going to throw them away. And you're like, the breadcrumbs? No, not the breadcrumbs. And I'm like, you need to leave. Like, you just need to leave because we can't be having these conversations about every single thing in the freezer. So
I would like to point out that the whole point of where the breadcrumbs started. What they started? No,
You make new breadcrumbs all the time, babe.
Oh, no, we
I love you so much.
But the point was, it was like it was so typical that we would pick up, say, like, particularly, and this is where it really did start, was baguettes from La Gourmandine.
Yeah.
Loved that stuff, really good, and we always felt ashamed when that last third got missed and went stale, because it's such fresh bread, you really do have to eat it
It goes
swiftly.
boom.
It's gone. And so it was, well, what could we purpose it for? And I think it was you that had said, well, I'm sure, I guess we can make breadcrumbs. And so I started going to town on that as those things would occur, and started crewing them, and then also using them. I would, I make mac and cheese. I go breadcrumb topping.
Yeah, that's fine.
You don't. So, but this is the thing. So this was actually a thing that was instigated by you. Yet again, managed by me, and then about to be thrown away. No. Just because you don't use them doesn't mean they're not used.
Babe, this is a tiny sandwich baggie of breadcrumbs. And what else did we find in there? A giant gallon
Well, we
bag.
found the proper bag of breadcrumbs that you had hidden from me.
And
that
so
I already
the
thought you'd
breadcrumbs
thrown
is
away.
a way to use something that would otherwise just go off, not a thing that you store necessarily. Like, you use it
I
as you go.
was saving enough
But
breadcrumbs
came
until I could make another loaf of bread.
I guess so, yeah. That is, I do love you for your resourcefulness and for your ability to take on a project that I mention and make it part of our lives. And sometimes it works, and sometimes, well, it becomes this
My mac and cheese is
giant bag of breadcrumbs.
Just saying.
Anyway, so we take all the frozen stuff over there. We take anything that's kind of precarious refrigerator stuff and manage to like reorganize their. Well, it was just like.
Yeah, so it did sort of get passed out, but it is unreasonable, the level of stress that such a first world problem generated in us. It is bonkers and a bit shameful, I think.
Well, the way that I was organizing it when we started was anything that's particularly like perishable that might need to go in their refrigerator. Most of what we have is condiments, pickled things, which, you could consider that
Pickles,
condiments as well.
Jams, pestos.
I'm talking about the fridge mostly. It's mostly
fridge,
like jars. It's like barbecue sauce. We got mustards. We got all of the sauces that need to be refrigerated. I knew that they wouldn't go off right away, so we just put them out on our back deck.
And you do love your cheese, and you did campaign to have the right to just eat all of the cheese so that it wouldn't be wasted.
Cheese, we must eat the cheese. Like some of the stuff from the freezer, like the tortellini and stuff, didn't really need to be frozen right away. So we put that over there in the fridge, and we were able to like make accommodations for a lot of things. And then we ended up putting stuff in the garage because it did drop down to like 35, and then it got really cold. So we could just keep things stored in the garage, in the coolers, and we let the coolers get cold from the natural air because we know that they insulate against the cold as well. This is a good opportunity to do a PSA. If you use one of those insulated lunch bags and you take them to your office, do not just put the insulated lunch bag inside the fridge. It doesn't do it. Brett, this happens all the time. People, it's going to stay the same temperature that it was when you left your house. You want it to get cold again, and just putting that bag in there takes up space and does not protect your food. If you're worried about somebody taking your food, put the whole thing in a plastic baggie and bring it to work with you. And then it's sealed in a plastic baggie and everybody can see it, but it's going to get the cold. It's going to be protected. And you're not taking up so much space with that big puffy insulated bag that you're not even using really. Like it's not helping, not doing anybody
insulating your food against the fridge. Yeah.
So that's my PSA. So we had stuff stored in the garage, and once it got cold, it wasn't a problem. And we're like, we got time. We can take a little more time to find a fridge. So it was like 35 degrees. So it wasn't.
Oh my gosh!
It wasn't like snowing or anything. It was raining, but it was cold, and we would go shopping across the alley to get some stuff out of there.
I took one of the coolers back and I reorganized it so that it could sit out on the back deck, filled with all of the necessity, the things we use every day, the half and half, the And
Butter.
I think we got butter and so on, things that we knew
Backup
we were
butter.
just going to be able to.
Because we do keep
step
our
out.
butter on the counter.
And because those, thank goodness, those next few days were cold.
Yeah.
So you know, and who wanted to run across the alley to go to a
And
fridge?
at that point, we're like, hey, we don't need to get a new fridge. We could just live with the outdoors. Also, we want to talk about how we have accommodated to certain things. Like in the winter, when we had our kitchen redone back in whatever year it was, it's very well insulated. So this room stays pretty warm. It's right now 66 degrees. And our thermostat upstairs is set to 55. So this room is probably the warmest room in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a cupboard that it used to be a back stairway. So upstairs, they blocked it off so that it's just a cupboard upstairs too in the second floor hallway that would have come down and been the back stairs. Our house isn't that big. I like to say it's kind of like a model version of one of those big Victorian homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the woodwork, it's got some stained glass, it's got the double stairways, but we don't use the double stairways, at least to the first floor. We do down to the basement.
Oh yeah.
First floor to the basement, like gardening stuff on one side, sculpture stuff on the other side.
Yeah.
But the second floor from the first floor to the second floor is blocked off. So anyway, there's a door leading to it and it's not insulated in there. So we use that to store some things during the colder months, like beer and sodas.
Sort of light vegetable things, mushrooms.
And some mushrooms.
Squash
It's perfect. Lots of beverages in there.
Yeah, it's been a useful space.
So that has been a place where we started putting more delicate vegetables that would freeze in our refrigerator. We just stick them there. So if the temperature is at least cooler than it is in here, we would put them in there because we couldn't put them in the fridge because it would freeze.
I mean, it is bizarre how demonstrably cooler that is. So it is open at the bottom. And so cold air, doing what cold air does, should easily be flooding into the room. I should be feeling it from where I'm sitting, but it's not. And then we discovered when we moved the fridge, let's go back to that, where we discovered that the reason that the water supply hadn't been working properly is that it had been slowly leaking for a long time to a point that you didn't see it because it was happening under the fridge and below the door. And so when we took it out, that's when we realized it had rotted a hole in the floor. And I had to And so before the new fridge came, which we knew the measurements of, so we're like, oh, great, we can't leave a hole in the floor. I had to literally get out the tools and bang it in there. But we found that the very edge of that, where you expected to be able to put a flashlight on the hole, go to the basement, see where that was from below, and it's not below, it's actually forward of the
outside.
front joist. It's literally pointing to the outside. So there was cold air coming through a big ass hole under the fridge.
I thought it felt a little breezy over there.
Yeah, so why that freezer didn't just keep things cold, given it had a direct supply of winter air?
We were all stressed.
It is weird.
The fridge, the house. It was a whole stressful thing.
But it's bizarre that, as you're right, this is ironically the warmest room, and yet it is one of the rooms. It doesn't make any sense. It's an exterior, essentially a room.
Well, it's very well insulated. It makes sense. Yeah,
but it's it's open to the world on two sides. It's
most of it is insulated. They did not insulate behind the cupboards, which I think is really weird.
No,
so our cupboards are very cold. And the first year, our water pipes froze in our sink because they hadn't insulated.
No, they did insulate it in front of it, and then they ran the pipes up against the exterior wall. They ran them the wrong way round, and then essentially insulated over the top of it, so that it was guaranteed to freeze. It literally made it. Oh, here's a freezer section.
They set us up. They really did set us up.
It's okay. We fixed that now. But anyway. But no, it's surprising things. It is bizarre that this is the warmest room. Yeah. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense, especially given the amount we're in and out of that back door. So, I'm a little surprised. I feel we've gotten off track quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got into this. We were talking about the cupboard.
I'm not sure this is a show anymore. Certainly not about a refrigerator.
No, it is.
So we went shopping for a refrigerator.
We did. And if anyone has been shopping with a partner, a roommate, anybody that you're going in to buy something together with, and there's just so many factors to making a purchase, whether it be a television, which we've been through, or a stove, of which I think we've been through every purchase that a couple could go through. When you go to make a large purchase as a couple, there are a lot of factors, and everyone has their own sort of style of research or, making that decision. And as a couple of individual people coming together on this purchase, you need to agree on that purchase, unless one person just says, well, go ahead, buy whatever you want, which is an option for some people, but that's not what we choose to do.
Oh, I can remember getting frustrated doing this with you and just waving my hand and walking away saying exactly that. Buy whatever the hell you want, woman.
Yeah, but we've never I've never been like, I'm just going to buy the one I want. We've generally come together on our purchases. I don't know.
It's true.
What in this house are you saying that I just bought without you? What, do you really want to go there? Let's not go there.
No, let's not go there.
I don't think there's anything really.
No.
But
I quit.
this is he quips. This is my point.
Let's get to your point.
When a couple goes to make a purchase like this, there's a lot of research and different styles. And so like Brett does the research, but at the same time, and I like to do the research too, but I like to go and look at it and actually see and get an idea. So there's the two sides of it. So we needed to get out. And so we went to Home Depot and Lowe's and Costco. And we decided on the French doors on top and the drawer freezer.
Because it made, we not considered the aspects we hadn't considered the first time round. And now we knew that made much more sense with the space we had. So it was we made stylistic decisions, and that was good. And it was nice. I think, again, mentioning Andrew, it was like who reflected pretty much where I was already going, but he's like, yeah, make it as dumb as a rock.
We did reach out to some neighbors and ask for any recommendations about places to go.
I think
or
they'd
whatever.
all been through the same sort of similar things in their own recent history.
Things
much
recently.
more recent than us, and so we did have to get to there. And
also Andrew had Consumer Reports that he would give us an idea of what the ratings were on stuff. And he was, thank you, Andrew Hayhurst. You were an amazing friend during that time for us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But we went out, we looked at some stuff, and then we came home, and it was good because we weren't in like an urgent situation because it had gotten cold. And we did have a place to put our food. And we had
made a provision, and we'd done our, as we do typically, figured a pivot point. So
right. But we knew we couldn't go on like that forever, so we were going to have to buy a fridge. So the first day that we looked, we found some that were like, we found one that was like $600, and it was like they called it a garage fridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is someone's second refrigerator. But we were looking for something smaller, so we thought. And then we found one that was a Samsung that was like $1,200, but it got really bad reviews and ratings, and so we were like, okay. So then we went to an appliance store. We took a trip out to the North Hills. We went to the suburbs. We did. We did. It was hateful, but we did. We went to Dawn's Appliances, and we went to
I think it's Dormont
Appliances.
I think Dawn's were very good. They listened very directly to what we were asking.
Oh yes, young man. What was his name? It's on his card. You just had it there.
Jared.
Jared was amazing at Dawn's Appliances. Yes.
He's very good at getting our money away from us. Yes. So. But no, the places that we would go, and then it's like, oh, well, what are you looking for? And we would literally say, we are looking for a fridge freezer that is as dumb as a rock. Don't need bells and whistles. Don't need any of this, that, or the other. And the number of times they would turn around and go, well, this one has Bluetooth. And
not Jared. Not Jared. Other stores.
Literally the first thing we said. And it was always knocked down with, well, this one has shiny features that are likely to break down, and you specifically asked not. So yeah, that was a bit frustrating.
Yeah, we weren't happy with that.
So yes, we are Luddites. Our refrigerator is called Beco, and there is no Bluetooth hookup. There is no video camera installation and list notification to make sure that we know that we're running low on cheddar.
This is never going to text me.
No, it's not. So, but yes, this is it. The suddenly being in a place of, oh, we need something, and then also being in a position of, and we don't know the first things to ask.
Yeah. So we went and we looked, and we went to Dawn's Appliances and came across Jared and told him what we were looking for. And he showed us a couple things, and then he showed us this Bico. And Brett, he fell in love with this refrigerator. We did find a couple others that were pretty nice. But then Brett kept going back and looking at this Bico. I was like, oh, I know the one.
Well, in terms of what we were talking about and what we needed and wanted, it was really, in the end, the only one that met pretty much all of the criteria.
Mm-hmm. These guys were like, we could deliver it tomorrow. And I was like, whoa, we need some time. Need some time to prepare. So we order it, and this was Friday, and we had them delivered on Monday. So we had 2 days to get our shit together. He had to take the old fridge out. We had to take the doors off, of course, to get it out of the house. And then Brett discovered that the floor was damaged underneath the fridge because of the water from the ice maker, and
had just been seeping down. And
it had been dripping for years, and then it finally broke while we were in Mexico last year.
Never go on vacation.
When everything froze and then thawed out again. And our neighbors, love you so much. Adrian and Mike, thank you so much. They were watching our chickens. They came over and they're like, we see water. They turned off the water for us. So that was good.
They found the right.
And then another story of that is our furnace died, and they had to call
a
contractor and arrange all that. And we're just in Mexico, like
not much we can do about it.
The sun, and it was, we've talked about that. Anyway, so the damage was done to the floor. Brett had to fix that, so we had time to do that. And then when we took the fridge out and then put the doors out to the curb, and they were gone.
I knew it would go, obviously. I mean, it's reasonable to the supply, and I'm sure many appliance places do the same thing. I was kind of surprised it was this way round. It would normally, I'm used to, your item is this much plus $75 delivery. And in this case, it was, delivery was free. It was $75 to take away the old one. Well, we've had neighbors that were scrappers and so on before, and so I'd rather throw it that way. It's not like they're going to make good use of it or get any return from it. So it reasonably they charge you $75 to take it away. But I put the doors out because I could carry those. And then I think I went for a walk around the block. And as I came around the other side, there's a truck in the front of our street. Our doors were already on the back of that truck. And then thankfully, our friend Jesse, another name that we need to be grateful to, had come by, and the box of the fridge was now sitting on our back deck, which is, the heavy bit. And he thankfully helped me get it down the path to the alley. Then after Jesse had left, I walked across the street, knocked on the presumed neighbor's door.
The scrapper guy.
Yeah, the scrapper guy. Told him it was out there, got home, and literally before I'd even got in the kitchen, he was already out back loading it up onto the truck. So, yeah,
that was on
Sunday.
So
I saved us $75, and I helped the circular economy that I like so much. So there you go.
Yeah, bravo.
Local enterprise was supported.
Bravo.
Bravo.
And then they gave us a window between 3 and 6 on Monday that they would be delivering the fridge. They were here at 3:15. I have no idea how. It was so efficient.
That was bonkers too, because they were so very specific about it. We thought it was it's going to be like 4:25 or something. You'd gotten text about, and then
well, in the morning they give you an estimate. So I think it's the same kind of software that Laura has for worm return, where it maps out your path. Like it estimates how long each stop will be, and then the driving and all that. And so it estimates what time it would be. So it was like 4:15. Earlier in the day, it said 4:15. And then it kept getting like closer and closer. So then it was like 4, and then it was like 3:45, and then it was like 3:30. And then they were here at 3:15. It was amazing. And they came in, they measured, they did the extra measurement for us and checked things out to see the path. And I thought they were levitating the fridge when they were coming down the path, because they had the strap that was harnessed to each of their bodies. And so all they had to do was steady it on this strap and walk it down the path. It was so quick.
It is just physics, but at the same time, it's nonetheless impressive. And I live in fear for those poor guys' backs when they cross the threshold into their 30s.
They were great. They were really nice. They were really efficient. They brought it in. They set it up. They plugged it in. They hooked up the water. They turned the water on in the basement.
Nothing for me to do.
They put the filter in. they were gone before Brett even got home. The only sign of them was that they had left one of their straps here that I found in the kitchen. So I called them and I met them out front. I think they had like one more stop to do and then they were going to be done. So yeah, very efficient guys. Really like them. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, they're very good, nice company. Yes, definitely the sort of behavior that will mean they're probably going to take more of our money when we get brave enough to move on to the stove. It's not dumb as a rock. It is a smart damn piece of equipment.
It yells at us.
Yeah, it yells at us if the door's open too long. But yeah, I mean, it was just, in the end, it was like, because I mean, again, we've never used the ice dispenser and water dispenser from the front of the door. And that is a huge amount of real estate taken up by something that we don't use.
Yeah.
So
we got one without anything on the front doors. No.
Big silver box.
And the front is magnetic too, we found out. Oh, I'm so excited. Although Brett won't let me put anything on it yet, but
oh God.
That'll come. Don't worry.
It brings me morning light, honey. It's a nice reflective surface to amplify the light in the room.
And it's just enough room on the side. We've got rid of all of our magnets. Gosh, we've had this for years.
Well, they've just accumulated, so it was due a paring down. It may have been the overload of magnets that just caused it to go wonky. Who knows? Put all kinds of stress on the motor. We'll probably go in and find that the motor shifted 3 inches to the right. So,
that's a good theory. I like it.
Thank you.
Oh, probably not.
Probably not.
But,
no.
So we plugged it in and let it get to temperature, and then we brought all of our food back, which was another couple-day process. It really was. And it was cold outside because that's when the temperature dipped down into like the teens. And so we had to bring all that back in the house and from the garage into the house and into the fridge and figure out how to organize it. Oh, man.
Well, I'm feeling like we set out some sort of plan of, like we said, we moved to a smaller refrigerator. We thought we could survive with a smaller refrigerator and maybe use that to temper our behavior somewhat, because are we just cluster-watsetting our lives? Part of our decision making in what we were going to buy was, should we consider smaller refrigerator to maybe temper our own bad behavior that is maybe causing some of the clusterfuck and the mystery items that vanish, that we swear we own and turn up 2 years later and so on.
We've gotten much better at labeling things, though, for sure.
No, that's for sure. But it was definitely one of those considerations. So it was like, did size matter? I mean, in this instance, I think what we realize is that, the layout, the design, and things can't be so deep that you can't see them.
Yes.
Right. And then with the width of it being the double doors, it means you can actually be better organized in what goes where. So, we're taking it on as a teaching enterprise and hope that it will moderate our behavior. But one of the comical things with that is now we suddenly, for the first time in, I don't think either of us can quite remember how long, we have a refrigerator that works as it is designed to and does precisely what it's supposed to, which means that we don't have the kind of skating we could get by with previously when it was not working properly. Yeah. So now things will last for just so long, and we actually now have to be more present with what we have. Also, we have to be better organized about how, because we do supply for ourselves so much. We make our own stock, and when we do a batch of pickles and your krauts and so on. So you do a batch of kraut, and that's at least 4 quarts of pickle that go in there. We make a batch of chicken stock, and regularly that'll end up being like 8 or 9 quarts. It gets cycled really quickly, but it is a lot of real estate that gets used up very quickly.
And now real estate is precious.
It is. We're keenly aware that we have improved our lot, but it still comes with a caveat of us improving our behavior.
Yeah.
And are we excited to explore these new behaviors, or are we just preparing for new curses?
Well, there will be regrets. Of course, we will have regrets. But I think one of the things we need to do is instead of thinking out of the blue of what we want to eat or make and then going out and buying what we don't have that exactly fit into that recipe, I think shopping from our refrigerator and our cupboard is probably the better way to do that, is to look and see what we have. And I know a lot of people take this on as a challenge to like cook from what you got, but like we need to use what we got so it doesn't go off.
Well, I mean, that's predictably to some degree been a behavior for me anyway, because you get so upset, and understandably so, when you've brought lovely local produce home and we've put it in the fridge and then it has frozen it to something unusable other than stock, or we've put it in the cupboard and then forgotten it's there, and then you come back and it's just wilty, sorry, sad, and unusable. So I've always been appreciative about that, and I do typically make wing it meals, and I think I've ever been good with that, and I suspect that's not going to change that drastically. I'm pretty good about being the king of saving sad things and turning them into food, like the lemons and limes, for example. Yeah, they look sad. If they're not rotting, I'm just going to turn them into juice, turn that into marinade, and that can go and sit until we're ready to do some chicken or something.
We found that we had 3 or 4 quart bags of tortellini because we bought one of those giant bags of frozen tortellini. It looked like a great idea at Costco.
Well, I mean,
and then we use maybe 5 or 6 in a soup, and then we never eat it again, and then we just have all of this. So we either need to find neighbors that can take it, or maybe I'll have a party and make a big batch of pesto tortellini because we have all that pesto in there too. But these are things that we can get out of there that we can make room for. Well,
and also I think that speaks also more again to timely habits. So, for example, that tortellini that you're giving yourself a hard time for, remember that started with you'd learned a recipe where it was a great thing. It was a great addition. It was very simple. And so with your love of broth-based food, that became a very useful thing. This is actually from the
second bag of tortellini.
Right, this is what I'm saying. It's at least the second, maybe the third. So, but again, those things you're not typically aware of. We bemoan at the end of summer as all of those things that you can just wander into the garden and gather and so on and make a meal and what have you, and you're not looking forward to that. And then, of course, you realize, oh no, we're entering squash season. So now you're in a completely different realm, and you're using things differently. Mm-hmm. And so you tend to overdo that, and then the new season turns around and suddenly those things are being forgotten, and you berate yourself for, oh, we're not even using this. No, just because it's not the time for those things. We want something lighter now, and then you head to the winter and you want something heavier now and stodgier now and so on. So yeah, those are just accidental. Those are not. So
now is the time to eat pesto on things and callaloo that we've frozen.
Oh God,
so much callaloo.
That was a lot. Oh my God, what a thing.
What do we have 10 bags of callaloo in there?
Oh, I think
and probably 15 quarts frozen of pesto. So if anyone needs some pesto,
yeah, and then nasturtium pesto. I did make a lot of that. When we were doing the clear out, we realized, oh right, yes, we meant to give away at least half of this, and we didn't get round to it, and so on. But those are sort of slightly different habits.
All right. Well, have we covered everything that you had on your list?
The surprises are, like I said, the amount of stress that caused, given the news of the day. It just is so slight that it makes me feel quite paltry and childish. We didn't lose anything really. We threw away stuff that really was just, we do not need to think about this. Sent things on. That was fine.
No bacon was lost during this transition.
No bacon was lost.
We're grateful for that.
That's probably the most important fact.
You don't understand.
But it's just a very curious thing that caused way more stress than is honestly reasonable. I don't know if that's just us or...
I don't know. Maybe most people handle it like just buy a fridge and move the food into the fridge. And for us, it wasn't that easy. So I'm curious if anybody else has a story about having to swap out fridges or whatever. I know Marcel recently had her fridge poop out on her and she had to replace it. So I wonder, I mean, maybe she had another one in the basement. I don't know, but we did not. And we used neighbors and nature to handle our dilemma. Thank you, neighbors. Thank you, nature.
Oh, good. No,
we made it through.
Absolutely. We are very much blessed with good neighbors.
We really are. All right, excellent. Well, thanks. This has been fun. Let us know about your refrigerator transition stories. We'd love to hear about it. All right, thanks for listening. This is Shelly.
And this is still Brett.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Everyone knows that food is food. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Take that spoon. Everyone knows that food is food. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Take that spoon. Oh.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced and hosted by Shelly Danko+Day. Copy editing by Carolyn Ristow of Details Review. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul LeBreeze and friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, review and share. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening.